Talk more about what accounts for this seeming dichotomy in Chinese spending habits. I'm joined by Tom Doctoroff, live from New York. He's the Chief Cultural Insights Officer at Profit, a marketing consultancy, and author of What Chinese Want: Culture, Communism, and the Modern Chinese Consumer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
So, as you know, there's been some conflicting reports about whether China is experiencing a consumption upgrade or a downgrade. Why is there confusion, and what's the reality?
Well, I think that the reality is that it's all consumption upgrade for two reasons. One is that you're enfranchising people that have never been part of the consumer economy before through websites and platforms such as Pinduoduo. And secondly, people are really having the income now as the middle class expands to upgrade across a broad swath of categories, from autos to water purifiers. I do think one thing that is happening, however, is that the role of status is declining in first-tier cities. For example, Huawei mobile phones is a perfectly acceptable choice, and people don't need to show off in an ostentatious way. People are becoming more confident as consumers, and that means they don't need the bling quite as much.
So for some people who are seeing this, perceiving this as a consumption downgrade by moving to some of these more reasonably priced things, would you say this is an overall trend, or is it just limited to a certain region or sector?
No, I think that the most important time where there would be this type of downgrade would be for products that are consumed inside the home, where people are less willing to pay a premium because you can't project your identity or there's no status. But again, in terms of the consumption downgrade, even McKinsey has said that in the fast-moving packaged goods area, 20% of people trade up while only 2% trade down. So I do challenge the downgrade conclusion.
Now, obviously, as we look at the things that millennials are spending their money on versus previous generations, what would you say are some of the key changes that you've seen in Chinese consumer trends between the generations?
Well, I think your report just hit on it. Millennials are much more focused on living in the now. They're much more focused on doing. So they are buying experiences as much as they're buying brands. So whether it be travel, whether it be sports, new experiences and culture, this is something that helps them broaden their worldview, an important competitive weapon on the battlefield of life. Now, what's different from the West is that these experiences don't just evaporate. They need to be shared socially and generate what I call social currency. So the importance of projecting your identity is still as important as ever in China as a way of moving forward in life. But it is now much more experiential than it was just a few years ago.
Now, there is still a large number of the Chinese population that isn't into e-commerce, that still prefers the traditional brick-and-mortar stores. So which sectors really tend to make up the bulk of Chinese consumption?
I don't quite get the question, but it depends on what stage of economic development you're at. At the very beginning, when people start coming into the economy, it's household goods. And as you become upper middle class, it moves into services and it moves into experiences. So the emerging affluent is interested in everything from automobiles to anything that is going to help demonstrate that they have a broad worldview and have a range of experiences that's going to help them in life. So it's very diversified right now, but depends on economic tier of consumer.
Now, if you're a foreign brand, how well understood do you think Chinese consumers are by some of these international brands who really want to tap into the Chinese market?
I think it's gotten better over the past 20 or 25 years since I've been working in China. But I will say that there are often many mistakes that are made because foreign companies don't realize that you need to bring a brand into alignment with a very different cultural worldview. That is a Confucian worldview, where there is a tension in the heart of Chinese people between projection of status and protection of economic and social interests. And so you see mistakes being made from everybody from Best Buy that doesn't understand the importance of price sensitivity in home, even to eBay that didn't understand what people are looking for when they shop online.
Well, luxury brands obviously seem to make the headlines, and they seem to be optimistic about China's market. Should they be?
Yes, luxury in China is a tool. It is not an indulgence. It is a tool of forward advancement. There is no cynicism regarding luxury goods. 64% view them as markers of success. Only 1% view them as markers of superficiality. They play an instrumental role in help people announcing what they want to do in life, how they want to climb the mountain of success, and how they want to project an image of themselves as worldly consumers. So the trend for luxury brands is very bright, even though very little is localized when it comes to the marketing strategies of luxury brands.
All right, thank you so much. Tom Doctoroff there, Chief Cultural Insights Officer at Profit and author of What Chinese Want, Culture, Communism, and the Modern Chinese Consumer.